Sup flappers, welcome back to another video, and today I want to share with you a team. Well, I guess you guys already heard about this. It's called the Morgana team, and no, it is not the team that I'm currently showing on screen. And I want to take this team and talk to you about how it is built from the foundations of Morgana team. And when I say Morgana team, I'm not simply talking about a freeze team. So if you guys have never heard about this team, well, you're in for a treat, because currently this is the Morgana team. Now, the Morgana team works off of some very strict character synergies, and it really doesn't work apart from these 4 characters. There's a whole amount of detail that goes into what makes this work. All you need to know is it works basically from Ganyu's 100% uptime burst skill, along with Mona's hydro application, with Venti making sure all enemies are sucked in, and these two have their elements applied on all enemies. Diona essentially is just here for battery regen for Ganyu to assure that she can have her burst skill up as often as possible, ideally 100% of the time. Remember this team because we are going to be looking at exactly how it functions a little later. Moving back to this current team. Now, this is how I want to relate this to all of you guys. Currently, if you have Ayaka, if you don't have Ayaka, this team requires slightly less resource-wise, meaning you don't have 3 5-stars, being Mona, Ganyu, and Venti, but instead you only need Ayaka and Kazuha, and Xingqiu Diona can make this work as well. I do think personally this particular variation of the Morgana team is going to be more casual friendly, and also it doesn't require you to have Ganyu, although without Ganyu the team just simply doesn't have the same damage threshold. But this team essentially is a freeze team, whereas this one is still the crown jewel, the Morgana team. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna throw some footage on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. So essentially, the Morgana team works around Ganyu's burst skill, dealing the bulk of damage. And let me tell you something, this team is designed for usage against large number of enemies. So people who use this team usually do it in the abyss against large groups of enemies. And this is not to say that it doesn't work against single enemies. It does, it's just not as powerful. Why? Yes, I'll explain that. Because Ganyu's burst skill deals the bulk of the damage in this team comp, along with Venti's swirl reaction. Although Venti's swirl reaction really does become a second afterthought, because Ganyu's burst skill, for each icicle that hits an enemy, not only does it hit that one enemy, but it's also an AoE damage icicle. So if all the enemies are grouped together by Venti, each popsicle will not only become a single target, but instead it will become an AoE. And for each enemy that is present inside Ganyu's burst skill, one icicle will be auto-targeted towards them. Now, this is the key. This is what makes this whole team stick together. Understand that Ganyu's burst skill is just as broken, if not more broken, I would say, for her charged attack. This is why I really enjoy using Ganyu, and why I keep saying she is the best cryo applicator. She outperforms all other applicators in the entire game, not just in the cryo category, due to how her burst skill auto targets enemies that are inside the burst range. Now, the biggest difficulty for this team is to manage your energy regen. So for Venti, this is also kind of a non-issue, because he will refund a certain amount of energy for the element that was infused into his burst skill. and this just all ties together to why this team is non-replaceable. So if you want to get this effect, Mona has to stay, Venti has to stay, Ganyu has to stay. The reason why Mona has to stay and you cannot use Xingqiu is because, as you can see through the rotations, you usually never auto attack. It's all done through skills and a couple Ganyu charge attacks. If the rotations are done properly, you simply don't have enough time to sit there and auto attack, and there are also no characters in this squad that really benefits from auto attacking. So if you don't have the proper artifacts, if you don't have the proper timing, this team starts to fall apart. And if you don't know what you're doing, this feels like a very average team, because once Ganyu's burst is on CD and you haven't cycled Mona's skill properly, you kind of just get slapped around. You start running around and Venti doesn't have his ult, right? Who is gonna be taking the forefront of this team? Yes, you can say, oh, I'll just shield up and use Ganyu charge shot while everything is down, but then there are much better teams suited for that situation, right? You are running this team because you want to have all skills and all bursts up as quickly as possible. With that being said, we also want to take a look at this team. Now, this is the team that I highly recommended for all Ayaka players to try out, and I still stand by that. This is such a superb team, and it is built off of the foundations of the Morgana team. So with this team, you're also running a freeze meta team. Essentially, you are replacing Ganyu, Mona, and Venti with Ayaka, Xingqiu, and Kazuha. Now, this team is much more on hit base. It's all reliant on fast hitting, Xingqiu's hydro application alongside with Ayaka's cryo sword play. And Kazuha is here not only for swirl, but also to slightly group enemies and to infuse the elements, whether it be hydro or cryo. Now, this is the good thing about these freeze teams. It doesn't matter which one you infuse and which one you proc with. The end result will be the same. You are going after the CC, and it is so unfair when you're playing with this team. And I actually demonstrated this when I remember I had like an Ascension 3 level 50 Ayaka, and then she cleared Abyss 12 with this team, because there's just no threat, right? Understand that when enemies are frozen, they can't move, it's a punishment worse than death, right? We always meme and say, what's the best CC in the game? Well, it's death, because you're dead, ha ha ha. But no, the best CC in the game now is permafreeze, because why kill your enemies when you can keep them in perpetual stasis of torment until you desire for them to die? Now, that is some really, really metal BS. With that said, I thank you all for watching this video. Hope this opens some ideas for you and yourself to get creative with the game. If you happen to have all three of these characters, and of course Diona now is essentially quote-unquote a free character, definitely give this team a try. But it is something that you should ease into slowly. Fine-tune your artifacts, make sure that each piece serves a purpose and that no resources are wasted, because this team is very resource intensive when it comes to timing, right? It's all about that timing. Hope you guys have fun with this team. And with that said, I'm going to be live streaming right now. If you guys are watching all the way till this point, I should be going live in the next few minutes right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you on my live stream. With that said, stay safe and peace.